I have had no formal experience with a mentor. I've had people that I could go to with a question, but no one who was truly invested and had formally made the commitment to kind of be there to guide me when I had questions, and talk through things that were going on. So.
And I've had a mentor. I've been so fortunate all of my professional career, different people that I've worked with. I'll never forget one of my first mentors back in Indiana at the Indiana University Foundation. I thought I could write, I thought I could communicate well. And every time I had a letter or any kind of a writing communication for him to look at, it came back with so many red marks. I mean, it was embarrassing. But I will look back at that my whole life and be grateful because I learned how to write from him. I learned how to write in the work that we do. So yes, I have been the beneficiary of great mentorship, and I have also had the privilege of mentoring others for the last several years.
I initially heard about this opportunity for the executive mentoring program through the Rockwell Career Center. I had received an email, and immediately I knew this was an incredible opportunity. And when I saw the list of names, I was already familiar with Susan and who she was. And I sent an email off to Erin Reed, one of the career counselors, and asked her, please, if I could be paired with Susan. I felt like Susan's story really resonated with me. She's an incredible leader, and she's worked hard to get where she is. Nothing was handed to her. And I really feel connected to her on so many levels as a professional, as a woman, leader, and as a mother. And so for me, this was an opportunity I did not want to pass up.
Thank you, Louise. I am so honored to hear you say that. I had learned about the program as a result of being on the board, the Bauer College of Business board. And this was one of the opportunities that they said that we could get involved with. And I thought, wow, I can't be a huge donor to the institution financially, and I can't spend a lot of time in classes or at the college because I'm still working full time. But I thought, I could spend time mentoring. And particularly, I was interested. I mean, I don't mean to say that mentoring young men or men would not be enjoyable, but I was particularly interested in mentoring with women. And because we do have challenges that I think sometimes we bring on ourselves. We have very high expectations, and the demands on our lives are just incredible, from family to work to home, and we want to do it all well. So I think that I was really excited about the opportunity to mentor. And I always, learn a great deal too. I've gotten to meet Louise and be reminded of what it's like to be young and have children at home and trying to work and trying to go to school. And that's a great reminder. It makes me a better leader to appreciate the people who work in our organization. And I also love the fact that we've built, I hope, a trusting relationship where we trust one another. I feel like I certainly have Louise's best interest at heart. And I hope that she can tell me if I'm being a good mentor or if there's something that I should be doing that I'm not. But anyway, it's been a great experience, and being a part of the board of the College of Bauer, the Bauer College of Business, is how I learned about the opportunity. It's been a long time since I went to college. And I believe that my experiences, at least as I remember them, were very much classroom based, very much didactic, based on what I read and the tests that we took. I have been so impressed by how the Bauer College trains its students. And Louise and I have talked about this. Not only do you have the lessons that are necessary, from the learning, the book learning, learning about business principles, but you also have the opportunity to work with one another on teams and to gain experience of what it's like to work with individuals who are in your classes, different professors, work in a competitive situation in terms of an assignment or a teamwork assignment. And I have really enjoyed being brought up to date on what the Bauer College does to train its students, which is well beyond anything that I would have known had I not gotten to know Louise. And from her purview, experienced what life is like in the Bauer College. So Louise, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Sure. Well, being able to have access to Susan and her wealth of experience and knowledge has been invaluable. I've been able to discuss things that have come up in my career in the past, as well as things that came up during my first year in the full-time MBA program. And in discussing them with Susan, she reminded me of, that these are experiences that will, repeat themselves, and she also gave me examples from her own career that were very similar to things that I had brought up. And it allowed me, insight into how she got through those challenges. And even thankfully, she shared even mistakes that she had made and learned from them, which allowed me to kind of move further down the learning curve, so that when those things come up for me, I can reference them in the future. So for me, I think it's been a good connection to the real world, and sort of that feeling of not being alone in the challenges that we face. And it's about how you get through them, and how you tackle them.
And I would say too that there's something else I've learned that really has struck me for the first time in all these years, and that is to be successful in any organization or in any industry, we must have mentors. We can't do it alone. I mean, I play golf, at least I play at it, and I realize I can't get better just by myself because I can't see my golf swing and what it looks like. I can't see that myself. And I think it's the same for growing in a profession or in an industry. Growing to be excellent at something requires someone else helping us see what we're doing well or what we could improve on. And I think that the part that I didn't really connect with until this experience is that we have to learn how to be a good mentee. Certainly, I want to learn how to be a better mentor, and I hope Louise, and she already has, helped me do that. And I want to be the best I can be. It's also essential to become a good mentee. And by that, I mean the student has to be willing to look at themselves and identify areas where they may not be as strong as they want to be or need to be. So you have to have a willingness to look at, oh gosh, am I making all the right decisions or not? And if not, how can I look at this differently? So we have to come at it as this is a part of learning that you just can't buy. And I think what the Bauer College is offering, this opportunity for the students in its programs to be able to work with individuals who have had a lot of experience, who have had made a lot of mistakes. And a lot of what we talk about is the soft stuff, emotional intelligence, risk taking, and when to take it, when not to, and how to respond when something doesn't go well, how to respond when something does go well. And how do you open yourself up to be attentive and not be entitled? Just because you're in the Bow College doesn't mean that you don't still have things to learn outside the classroom, because I think everyone assumes when we hire, particularly at these levels, that each of us knows our craft. The whole question becomes, can we be successful at facilitating that craft within an organization that has a culture that's a certain way, where everything we do is something that's being evaluated? Can we always look at it as an opportunity to learn? And how do we present ourselves that way? So I have seen it now as this kind of skill. Being a good mentee, being a good mentor is essential for our success in the business world. And I just applaud Bauer for providing this as an opportunity for the students as well as for us. And I applaud Louise for always coming, with even painful, honest stories of how things are going, and helping me understand and help her understand that it's probably not about her. We're just each a cog in the wheel, and we don't have to take everything so personally. Sometimes it just happens around us, and we have to figure out how to make our way through it. And I'm talking way too much, so I apologize. But it's just been a great realization to me, and an opportunity to me to grow as well, as a mentor, but also as a mentee.
Well, that's good reinforcement for me, because sometimes I would come to the meeting saying, oh, I shouldn't share this. She probably doesn't want to know about this. But those led to some of the best conversations and some of the most meaningful lessons for me. So thank you for letting me be in this trusting space.
Yeah. Well, and it's even hard, like if you're a manager or a supervisor, it's a lot harder to be a good mentor, because you're not only caring for that person, but you're also having to hold that person accountable. Right. Where this kind of situation is, we're just here to get to know one another better, to hopefully give one another confidence, and to hopefully to share some wisdom both ways, without having to hold anyone accountable or grade anybody's work or give anyone an evaluation. So I think the mentorship, the whole process of mentoring and being a mentee probably goes unrecognized in its importance as a part of our classroom training, as well as a part of our own professional development.
For me, the key takeaway from this opportunity to work with Susan was her ability to kind of mirror things that I was saying, but not really recognizing what was in there, what I was trying to get from the things that I was talking about. She kind of held up a mirror and showed me that things that I saw in myself that I thought were weaknesses were actually strengths, because they were things that were true to me as a person. She would ask me questions that sort of helped direct and guide me to really sharpening who I want to be as a leader. And there were things that I had faulted myself for, and I was holding myself accountable for things decisions I had made that I thought were wrong. And she would say, but if you had made that decision, would you be okay with that? Is that who you are? And I had never thought about it like that. And so it allowed me to kind of recognize the importance of staying true to who I am, and that is really the beacon that that I should be following.
So true, and it took me many decades to learn that, and I I hope that our experience together and your great insight has allowed you to learn that much earlier, because all we can be is who we are. And we talked about how do each of us want to be perceived, whether we are in a situation where we're successful and winning, or we're in one where we're not so successful. How do we want to be perceived by the people around us? We've talked about that. And, a lot of times, even in a situation that's challenging, we can be the winners if we behave in a way that rises above the actual situation. If we accept that we needed to learn something, or that we were able to learn something, the other part that I've just been so impressed with the Bauer curriculum is that these scenarios, these opportunities to work together as teams, offer real life situations. Even though it's not a real job, it certainly brings along the feelings that individuals who are in real jobs have. That can be fear, it can be glory, it can be dread, and it can be embarrassment. And we just have to figure out who we are. And Louise, you're so good at that. Part of that, I think, comes from having more maturity, having been in a job before where you had serious responsibilities, where you saw things that were good and not so good. It comes from having children and a family and what you'll do to fight for them. And it comes from just understanding where we are in that cycle of our workforce. Where is it that we fit? And it's like, Gio, it's like your boss told you, I just have to figure out what's important, what's not, how do I get my job done, and how do I just keep doing that over and over again to the best of my ability, and take the emotion out whenever possible, and learn. Be open enough that when it doesn't go well, we're still leaning into that to learn. I think seeking out mentors is really important, and seeking out different types of mentors is important. When we get into organizations, we tend to try to find people who are like us. And that's a good place to start because it's more comfortable. But eventually, we should probably seek out people who are mentors who are not so much like us, and be open to learning from them without compromising our own integrity. But we would be willing to see, how are we perceived by those people who are not like us? How did they get to be where they are? What strategies and tactics and personality traits and skill sets do they have? And really be open, keep a notebook about, where do I want to try to learn something this year? What are the 2 or 3 things I want to learn, even if it's painful? And you learn that, I think, from talking with and being mentored by people who are different from us. So anyway, again, I'm talking a lot.
I love that. I think these are all really good points. Every time I met with you, I had a notebook filled with like new advice. Well, here's the next one. That's the next step for me, is like that's an amazing point, is that we kind of gravitate towards people who are like us. And that was what drew me to you. And I've had a wonderful experience with that. But I think you're absolutely right. The next step to growing and learning is seeking out someone who is different from me, and finding their story and listening. And I'm sure there are many, many lessons in those stories as well. So she's still mentoring me, guys.
Well, and I always try to, and I didn't do this with Louise, but my rule is 80-20. And that means that if we're in a meeting, hopefully I'm talking 20% of the time and the other person is talking 80% of the time. Now, we didn't do that, Louise. I wish we would have. But I will say that the time when you talked and you told me some stories about what was happening within your own experiences, those were, first of all, I was so touched and so grateful that you were willing to open up that way with me. I mean, it meant a great deal to me. I learned a lot from it, the pain of that. And I could see in you, myself, but also some of the people around me who may be suffering from things that I'm not even aware of. So I learned a lot from you during that. And of course, got some insight into these fabulous opportunities that, the Bauer College curriculum provides its students. So if you had to say, Louise, what are some of the things that you've learned the most so far in your curriculum? I know this is outside of the mentoring question, but she's mentoring me now. So what would you say were the most important learnings, the most important lessons?
I mean, aside from the very specifics of sort of the business acumen, the business skills and knowledge that I gathered from each of my individual classes, I think a big component of it was gaining confidence in my skills and my abilities. Coming from a completely different background, I didn't have a business degree. I was a clinician, put in a management role or obtained a management role, and tried to learn along the way. And I had instincts that thankfully were good, but I never knew, and I didn't really value myself until I started in the full-time program at Bauer, the full-time MBA program at Bauer. And it allowed me to, as I was learning the academic material, realizing, I did do that right. Or, oh, here's how I could have done it better. And it allowed me, I feel much more confident. I can tell in interviews, or even as I'm seeking positions, before I might not have thought I was competent. I worked very closely with a wonderful career counselor, Helen Godfrey, and she pointed out to me things that were transferable skills that I hadn't even thought about. Before I was so caught in my bubble of my specific area of training that I didn't really look outside of that and how I could be valuable with my experiences in a completely different setting. So for me, that's probably been as a female professional, that is an incredibly important gift that Bauer has given me.
I also think the Dean Paul, has brought incredible energy to the college and to this whole school.
Yes.
He's just has the best for the students in mind, and he understands that the Bauer College's role is really important for the success of Houston, because many of these students stay in Houston, they work in our companies, and I think the more we can get the business community, the very diverse business community of Houston involved with the Bauer College and with the mentoring program, the stronger we're going to be as a community, and the stronger the college is going to be. And each of us as leaders will benefit from getting to know these young, very, very talented students, and maybe even have the opportunity to help them connect with just the right opportunity in the city. So I applaud the dean, the leadership of the Bauer College, for getting all of us so excited about what's going on, that we want to be a part of it.
I think if you're considering this, there's really no opportunity that will present itself like this to you again with this much reward. You have someone who has stepped forward with an incredible amount of experience and knowledge, and they are saying they want to spend time with you, they want to get to know you, and they want to help guide you through whatever you want to talk about, whatever you're facing in your career. And this is not something to pass up.
Thank you. And I would absolutely agree with everything you said. Houston is among the most generous cities in the United States, over and over and over, year over year. And this generosity is not just about giving money, although Houstonians do give very generously financially. But Houstonians also give of their time. And it's not very often that we're offered the opportunity to get to know someone who's young and who's talented and who just needs a little help understanding how the real world works after college, after the degree is in hand, then what? And from the standpoint of everyone needs a good mentor, the best students will pick the best mentors. The best mentees will pick the very best mentors. That's just the way it works. We all owe this city and the Bauer College the opportunity of the expertise and excellence that we have. The leaders in our organizations from throughout the city not only could provide great benefit to these students, but I believe the students provide great benefit to us too. It keeps us relevant. It doesn't take much time. The way that Bauer College runs this program is amazing. Gio, you and your team, oh my gosh, you all even had a lesson on how to be a mentor, how to be a mentee. Just when we think we all know how to do this, I took notes like crazy during that. And it was very comfortable because one of the things I think we're afraid of sometimes as mentors is that a job will be the expectation at the end, or there'd be some quid pro quo. And the Bauer College team and the executive mentorship team made it very clear that that is not what this is about. It's just about learning from one another, getting to know one another. And I want, as I mentioned earlier, to be the best mentor I can be. And I want to learn how to do that better from Louise and others. And I think this offers that opportunity, but also an opportunity to learn what is being taught by the best business schools in the land. And Bauer College is one of those. So we have a great opportunity in this city. We can become a part of it, and it would benefit not only us, but the people we're trying to serve in the city. I would just say that I want to stay in touch with Louise. I hope we have an opportunity. You sent me a note last week to keep me updated, and I hope we'll continue to do that. We've never met in person because we've been through COVID the whole time. So maybe that'll happen in the future too. So I would just say how much I appreciate how prepared you've been, Louise, through every one of our sessions, and then how open you've been. It's been a real pleasure for me.
Thank you. Well, likewise. I mean, if I put my foot in the water and you hadn't been, there with the life preserver, saying, come on in, it's okay. Like, this is what I'm here for. You so willingly giving of your time and I felt from you, your genuineness and your sincerity in really wanting to be a part of kind of helping me through some difficult experiences or things that had happened in the past, to kind of what should I do in the future. I really felt that you provided a very safe environment for that, and I'm very appreciative. I often reference my Susan notebook for all the things that we talked about and the wonderful advice that you gave to me. So thank you. And I feel very lucky happy for the next person that gets to be your mentee.
Well, and one of these days, you're going to be a mentor if you're not already, Louise, and you will be a great one. Part of it is just being open to, yes, we do a lot of things well, but when we do make mistakes or when things happen that we wish wouldn't have happened, if we can be honest about that, think how much courage we give each other. It gives us permission to take some risks and fail sometimes, because it's not going to be the end of the world. It's just a process in growth, a process that we hone our skills through moving forward and sometimes making mistakes and having to back up and go a different way. But if we weren't doing that, we wouldn't be growing. And so it's okay. It's good. It's good as long as we learn from it. And we don't want to also get angry and bitter and afraid. And we've talked about that too. We don't want to just go behind, the closed doors and talk about it to somebody else. It's really, how can we be open enough and have the strength and the confidence to bring it up to someone and say, I know I didn't do this as well as I could have. Please, could I have some feedback, some honest feedback from you? And if we can start doing that, it gets easier every time. And I don't think that we can grow without it. And that's why having different kinds of mentors, people with different experiences, we'll probably, you ask 10 of us, we'll probably give you 10 different answers, but they're all right. They're all the right answer for the circumstance that an individual has been in. So anyway, I just applaud Geo, your team. I applaud the whole Bauer College for the opportunity, the gift that it gives to these students as well as to us who have the privilege to serve as mentors for the students.